Dr. Scott McLeod, and welcome to Back to Health, where we promote the fact that your body can heal itself. It needs no help in doing so, just no interference. Because the power that made the body heals the body. It happens no other way. You see, with all the different information out there today about health and healing, with all the advertisements that we're bombarded with daily on TV and in radio and magazines and newspapers, all hawking solutions to our health problems, with all the different studies that are done telling us what we should or shouldn't do to our bodies, only to find out that next month or next year another study comes along and says the exact opposite? Don't you wish that there was an easy answer guide to health? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a simple formula to follow, allowing us to achieve good health? Why isn't there a model or an algorithm of health that we could just adhere to be healthy? Well, maybe there is. What is this diagram? How can this be easily followed and help us be healthy? Well, stay tuned, because when we come back, I'm going to go over some information to help explain this diagram and go over it with you, so you too can understand just how easy it can be to get back to health. Today's episode is brought to you by McLeod Chiropractic, which is located in Shelby Township, Michigan, on Van Dyke between 21 and 22 mile roads. You can also go to www.correctthecause.com for more information or call directly at 586-739-6262. McLeod Chiropractic, we specialize in health restoration. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a perfect lead-in for today's conversation. Health. What is it? Do you know what health is? Are you healthy? Are you sure? And when it comes to health, if we have it, can it be lost? And the real question, if we've lost it, can it be restored? You see, one of the reasons I do this show is to support as many people as possible in their quest for health. And I think we all have a quest for health. We all want to be healthy. In fact, I haven't met the person yet who says, I want to be sick. So the question isn't, do I want to be healthy? The question really is, how can I achieve health? Well, first, understand, we can't achieve something if we don't even know what it is that we're trying to achieve, right? So, again, do you know what health is? Think about that for a moment. Do you really understand the true meaning of health? If somebody came up to you and asked you the question, what is health? What would you say? Interesting. That's an exercise that's been done many, many times across this country for decades. In fact, on this very show, Back to Health, we've done this before. In roving reporter style, we've gone to the streets with microphone and camera in hand. We stopped and asked people that very question. What is health? If we were to stop you, what would your answer be? Or imagine you were on a game show and it was your turn to head to the front. The question that the host asks is, what is health? If you are the first person to hit that buzzer and have seconds to respond, what do you say? Well, with the top 10 answers on the board, the number one answer that we always get is feeling good. Yep, more people respond with health is feeling good than any other answer combined. The majority of our population would consider feeling good a state of health. In other words, if you're healthy, then you feel good, and if you feel good, then you must be healthy. But just because most people answer this way, is it the right answer? Is that really what health is? Let's take a closer look. Now, before we get to our simple step-by-step diagram, we first have to know what health is. So bear with me a little bit longer, and let's go over to the dictionary and define it. Which dictionary? Let's start with Dorland's Medical Dictionary. Dorland's is the standard reference guide which all healthcare practitioners, schools, institutions, organizations all use to define healthcare terms. So what better place to go to define the term health than Dorland's? In fact, that's exactly what the World Health Organization did. The WHO adopted Dorland's definition of health as the definition of health. So what is it? Well, Dorland's Medical Dictionary and the World Health Organization defines health as a state of optimal physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. This is a good definition, and it has two parts. Let's break it down. First, a state of optimal physical, mental, and social well-being. It's like three pieces to a health pie. In order to be healthy, we need to have a full serving of all three pieces: physical, mental, and social well-being. The second part of the definition, which is often overlooked, is just as important. It states that health is not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. In other words, if you're not sick, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily healthy. You see, most people see health as a dichotomy. At one end of the spectrum, you have health, and at the other end, you have sickness. So if you're not sick, then you must be healthy, or if you're healthy, then you're not sick. Kind of like the roving reporter scenario we just gave you, where most people would say if you feel good, then you're healthy, and if you don't feel good, you must be sick. Now Dorland's comes along and says that's not necessarily true. It says health is not merely the absence of disease and sickness. So, in other words, if you're not sick, Dorland says that doesn't mean that you're healthy. There's more to it. So now what? Well, I think Webster's offers a good answer to that. Now, we all know Webster's dictionary, and one of its editions defines health as a state of wholeness in which all parts of the body are functioning at 100% all the time. Now, I really like this definition because it gives us something we can work with. We can break down this definition into its parts and put them into a formula for health. Let me show you. Webster says that health is a condition of wholeness in which all the parts of the body are functioning at 100% all of the time. So, if we add up all the parts of the formula, wholeness, function, and time, then according to Webster's, it should equal health. Excellent. Except, what if we don't have health? How do we use this formula to go about achieving it? Well, since we're using a formula, if we use basic algebraic rules, we know that if you take away from one part of the formula, you gotta add to another part in order to achieve the same sum total. And if you don't add to another part, then the sum total must also then decrease. What does all that mean? Well, simply stated, if wholeness plus function plus time equals health, and we don't have enough health, we then have to increase one or more of the parts of the formula to increase our health. How do we do that? Well, let's take a look at the individual components. Can we increase any of these three parts? Let's start with wholeness. Can we add to the wholeness of our bodies? Sadly, no. We can subtract from our body's wholeness, but we either have all of our parts or we don't. If we had parts of our bodies removed, can we add them back again? Again, no. Once they're gone, they're gone. So we can't add to that part of the formula. Let's jump down to time. What about time? Can we change time? Can we slow it down? Can we speed it up? Again, obviously no. Time is a constant. Time marches on. We can't slow time down, we can't speed time up, and we certainly can't stop time. So, again, time also cannot be changed. Well, there's only one part left, function. What about function? Can we increase function? The answer to this is a resounding yes. Function is the key. If we increase function, we can then have a positive effect on health. So how do we do it? How do we increase function? Well, for the answer to that question, let's go to Gray's Anatomy, another standard textbook in healthcare. Gray's Anatomy states that it is the purpose of the brain and the spinal cord to control and coordinate the function of every cell, tissue, and organ of the body. So, in order to increase function, we must look to the nervous system. You see, your brain and spinal cord and all the nerves that branch off of it make up your central nervous system and are the lifeline to your body. Therefore, the central nervous system is the most important system of your body because it determines the level of function of your body and therefore the level of your health. It's so important, in fact, that it is the most protected system of your entire body. Your brain, which is the best protected organ in your entire body, is completely covered by bone, your skull. Your spinal cord, which is an extension of your brain, is also highly important because it transmits all of the messages from your brain to all of the parts of your body. Therefore, it also must be highly protected. However, if your spinal cord were protected in the same way as your brain, with hard immovable bone, then we wouldn't get around very well. So instead, it's protected by 24 movable bones called vertebrae, your spine. Now this is a wonderful system of protection and mobility. The downside, however, is when something is movable, it can also move out of place. And so it is with the spine. If one or more of these 24 movable vertebrae moves out of place, it can then put pressure or pinch the spinal cord or the nerve roots passing between them. This can cause interference of communication between your brain and wherever that nerve leads to. This condition is known as a vertebral subluxation and is devastating to your overall function and health. Subluxations are the leading cause of nervous system interference. Now, let's go to the diagram. Like we just learned from Gray's Anatomy, the brain communicates with the body by way of the nervous system. So, if there is no interference in the nervous system, then, according to Gray's, there will be proper function in the body. Remember, function is the key to our formula for health. When there's proper function, then all things can work properly, together, in harmony, and will be at a state of ease. With everything in the body at a state of proper function and ease, then health can exist. So this is a model of health. Proper communication between the brain and the rest of the body allows the body to function properly, leading to a state of ease, and then we enjoy good health. So what happens if this process is interfered with? Well, if a vertebral subluxation occurs, which remember is the most common cause of nervous system interference, the result is a lack of proper communication between the brain and the rest of the body, which remember Gray says is necessary for proper function. Therefore, we lose proper function, which remember Webster states is the key to health, and we're left with a state of malfunction in the body. And without proper function, our state of ease deteriorates into a state of dis-ease. Not disease, but dis-ease with a hyphen. So malfunction and dis-ease then plummets into a state of sickness. Then ultimately we become aware of our lost health with the inevitable onset of symptoms. And what we're left with is a model of sickness. Notice what the last thing to show up on this model is. Symptoms. Why? Because symptoms are the effect of our sickness, not the cause of it. Symptoms are not the problem. They show up as a result of the problem. However, in our society, what's the most common path we take when we're faced with this scenario here? We treat the symptom, right? We cover it up. Maybe we go across the street and buy something over the counter, or we go to our MD and get a prescription. We do this, or this, or even this. But do any of these options make us healthy? By covering up our symptoms, or in the case of this diagram, covering up the very word symptoms, does it create a healthy system? No, of course not. We can see it right in front of us. We still have a state of sickness, even if we don't feel it at the time. So instead of treating the end effect, the symptom, what we need to do is work our way back up the diagram, find the cause, and correct it. By removing any interference between the brain and the rest of the body, then instead of malfunction, the body can reestablish proper function, the key to health. Dis-ease then returns to a state of ease, and health can be restored. And here's the great part. When we're healthy, there's no longer a need for symptoms, and they can go away on their own without any drugs or medications to cover them up. And once again, we can enjoy a system of good health. So there it is, your diagram of health, or your algorithm to follow. Make the right choices, enjoy good health. Make the wrong choices, suffer sickness. So is that it? Am I saying that if we do this one thing, then we'll never be sick again? Certainly not. Are there other factors that affect our health? Of course there are. We need to supply our body with the proper ingredients by eating healthy. We need to avoid being sedentary and supply the body with a proper amount of motion. We need to give our bodies a chance to rest and recuperate through proper amounts and quality of sleep. We need to protect ourselves from poisons getting into our system, and decreasing our level of stress always benefits us immensely. But above all, we need to have a properly functioning nervous system with no interference. It is essential. It's essential for proper absorption of the nutrients. It's essential for reaching proper stages of sleep. It's essential for proper joint motion and joint health. It's essential for the detoxification of unhealthy levels of toxins in our bodies. It is essential. So how do we do that? Well, doctors of chiropractic are the only healthcare practitioners in the entire world who are trained and able to locate, analyze the most common cause of nervous system interference, vertebral subluxations. Therefore, everyone should have a family chiropractor. Everyone. Everyone should have their spines checked and evaluated for vertebral subluxations. Do you have a health problem? Has traditional healthcare failed you? Does this model of sickness represent your current state? Or are you here, constantly filling your system with drugs and medications to continually mask your symptoms, yet declining into a deeper and deeper state of sickness? Or are you maybe even here, thinking, like the majority of our population thinks, that because you feel okay, you must be healthy? Yet, since you never had your spine checked for subluxations, you're living in a downward spiraling path towards sickness without even knowing it? If you relate to any of these types, I urge you, get to a doctor of chiropractic who analyzes for subluxations. And if you have any, get them corrected. Then you too may be able to return to a state of well-being. And finally, if you know someone who is struggling with a health issue and they've tried everything with no success, send them this video. It's free and it's easy. Depending on how you're watching, either press like or share, or better yet, forward a link of this show so that they too can understand and find a path to healing. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Scott McLeod, reminding you that your health is your most valuable asset. Guard it well.